Riley Goodrich, just 18 years old. A cheerleader, a volleyball player, and the light of her parents' lives. She was the kind of girl who could brighten any room she walked into. And that night, she was simply out on a normal first date. On the other side was 19-year-old Anthony Barajas, a rising social media star with over 1 million followers. But in reality, he was quiet, humble, and incredibly grounded. It was their very first real date, dinner and a horror movie. But when the movie ended, when the lights came back on, what the cleaner saw inside that theater sent shockwaves through the entire city. Both of them were still in their seats. Riley was already gone. Anthony was barely holding on to life. And that's where the real questions began. Who pulled the trigger? Why did it happen? And how did an entire theater hear nothing at all? So let's go back and break down every twist that unfolded in those crucial 72 hours that turned this case into one of America's most chilling and mysterious murders. It was almost midnight on July 26, 2021, in Corona, California. The last movie showing had just ended at the Regal Edwards movie theater. The movie, The Forever Purge, was over, and the credits were done. The lights in the theater came on. A few people left quietly. They left their empty popcorn bags and drink cups behind. It was a normal, quiet Monday night. The theater was almost empty. A few minutes after midnight, a cleaner walked into the room. He held a trash bag and a flashlight. This was his normal job after every movie. He walked through the rows, picking up trash. In a far corner, he saw 2 people still sitting in their seats. At first, he thought they were a couple who stayed to talk. He called out to them. They did not answer. He walked closer. On the armrest, he saw a strange, dark stain. He shined his flashlight on the seats. The quiet night was broken by his scream. The woman was bent forward. The man was leaning backward. There were bloodstains on the floor. At 11:58 p.m., a call was made to emergency services from the theater. The caller said 2 moviegoers were unconscious and might have head injuries. Minutes later, ambulances, police, and fire trucks arrived. They blocked off the building. Theater staff stood by, confused and shocked. Paramedics went into the theater. They confirmed the woman was dead. The young man was still breathing but was unconscious. He was carried out on a stretcher with a breathing machine. Police photographers took pictures of the theater, the seats, and the blood. Everything felt like a bad dream. That night, no one at the theater knew who the 2 people were. Their names would be in the news the next morning. The morning of July 27th started like any other day in Corona. People went to work, kids went to camp, and cafes were busy. No one knew that the movie theater parking lot was blocked off by police. Crime scene vehicles were there, and yellow tape surrounded the building. The police had not yet officially released the victims' names. Investigators found no weapon and no signs of a fight. The police report said it was an attack under undetermined circumstances. The lack of a weapon ruled out suicide, but it created many questions. Who fired the gun? The theater was nearly empty, so why did no one hear anything? By noon, the first news reports about the incident appeared online. The reports mentioned an attack at a movie theater with 2 victims. No names or details were given. Reporters gathered at the theater all day, but police did not give any information. By evening, news crews from Los Angeles arrived. Headlines called it a double tragedy in Corona and said the shooter was still at large. People on social media began guessing what happened. Some thought it was an accident. Others thought it was related to gangs or drugs. People who lived in Corona were confused. How could someone shoot a gun in a theater with cameras and not be seen? The police did not confirm any theories. Their only official statement was that no gun was found. They had no suspects and were checking ticket sales and security videos. The theater closed down for good that evening. People online said they were scared and would not go to the movies alone anymore. Nearby schools told people not to spread rumors. The Corona police confirmed that county detectives and gun experts were now helping on the case. It was still unclear who the victims were or if they knew each other. The investigation was just starting. Journalists found out one scary detail. The attack happened during a loud gunfight scene in the movie. This may be why the other people in the theater did not hear the real gunshots. This detail made people even more uneasy. The person who did it was still unknown. There was no clear reason, and the gun was missing. The next morning, police officially named the victims. The young woman and man were a couple on a date. Their names, Regal Goodrich and Anthony Barajas, were released on July 28, 2021. From that moment, their personal tragedy became a big news story across California. Anthony Michael Barajas was born on August 9, 2001. He grew up in Southern California with his family. He was friendly, confident, and good at talking to people. In school, he did well in his studies and played sports like soccer. He also practiced martial arts. His teachers said he was mature and responsible for his age. In 2019, Anthony started a TikTok account. At first, he posted funny short videos. He posted regularly and became popular. By the summer of 2021, he had almost 1 million followers. He was also active on Instagram. Even with his fame online, he stayed humble and kind. The young woman with Anthony was Regal Goodrich. She was cheerful and had a very different life. Regal was the only daughter in a close, supportive family. In high school, she was well known. She was the captain of the cheer team and played volleyball. Everyone described her as kind, easy to talk to, and responsible. After high school, she got a scholarship to Grand Canyon University in Arizona. She was studying business and marketing. She often came back home to Corona to visit her family and friends. In the summer of 2021, she was home from her first year of college. On July 4th, 2021, Regal went to a party. That is where she met Anthony for the first time. He was funny and had a nice smile. They liked each other and started talking. It was not a serious relationship yet, just two people getting to know each other. When Anthony asked her on a date, Regal said yes, but only after her parents met him first. She was very close to her family, especially her dad. At first, her parents were unsure about Anthony because he was a content creator, but after they met him, they liked him. He was respectful, calm, and thoughtful. Their first date was set for July 26, 2021. It was supposed to be the start of a new relationship. Instead, it was their last night together. On that summer night, Regal and Anthony were on their first real date. Their plan was simple: dinner and a movie. After dinner around 9 p.m., they went to the Regal Edwards Theater. Regal had gone to that theater many times while growing up. They chose to see The Forever Purge at 9:30 p.m. The theater was nearly empty, which was normal for a weeknight. The movie is about a night where all crime is legal. This was a scary and ironic choice. That night, the fake gunfire in the movie mixed with a real tragedy. No one could have known how terrible that coincidence would be. Around 10 p.m. during the movie, Regal sent a text to her mom. It was a normal message. She said the movie was a little boring, but she was having a great time with Anthony. She said she was happy to be with him. This was the last message her family ever received from her. Inside the theater, everything seemed normal. The lights were low. Another loud action scene was playing on the screen. People were eating popcorn. A few people got up to use the bathroom. No one seemed to notice a young man sitting alone in the back rows. He was acting strangely. Investigators would later learn he did not come alone. He came with a few friends, but they left early because his behavior scared them. About 2 hours later, the movie was ending. The theater lights were set to turn on when the credits finished. But in that short time, something terrible happened. 2 gunshots, hidden by the loud movie sounds, were fired. No one else in the theater noticed. Regal died instantly. Anthony was shot in the head and was badly hurt. When the movie ended, no one knew what had happened. Everyone left, except for the 2 people who were not moving. Regal was pronounced dead at around 11:45 p.m. The call to the police came 13 minutes after the movie ended. For the police and theater staff, this was the start of one of the city's most disturbing crimes. The person who did it seemed to have disappeared. The police examined the scene. In the theater, they found 2 bullets. Both were fired from very close to the victims. The shooter had been standing right behind their seats. There were no signs of a fight. It looked like a sudden, planned attack. There was blood on the seats and floor, but no bullet casings and no gun. This was a big problem. Without the gun, they could not figure out what kind of weapon was used. The police first thought it might have been a murder-suicide, but experts quickly ruled that out. There was no gunpowder on the victims' hands, so neither of them had fired a gun. The police also noticed that Riley's purse was missing. The attacker probably took it. Processing the crime scene was hard. Many people had been in the theater that day. There were fingerprints everywhere. The lab collected hundreds of samples, but none gave them a clear lead. Security cameras in the parking lot showed some cars, but the video quality was poor. There were no cameras inside the theater itself, which is normal for privacy, so the actual attack was not recorded. The police made a timeline. Riley's last text was at 10:15 p.m. After that, neither she nor Anthony used their phones. The attack likely happened between 11:30 and 11:45 p.m. Many police departments were now working on the case. The medical report confirmed both victims were shot in the head from close range. The bullets came from the same gun. By the morning of July 27th, the police had one main conclusion. The shooter was inside the theater during the movie and left before the lights came on. No gun was left behind. No witnesses came forward. No one knew who the shooter was. But one thing was clear. The crime was cold, calculated, and not personal. The investigation was now a double homicide case. Finding the unknown shooter was the top priority. The police started by checking the ticket sales. The theater said only 6 tickets were sold for that showing. 2 were for Riley and Anthony. The other 4 were for a group of young men who arrived together. These 4 men became the main focus. With only 6 people in the theater, the shooter had to be one of them. The police got the information from the theater's computer. But the tickets were bought with cash. There were no names or information to trace. The ticket seller remembered the group seemed to be young men in their early 20s. They were calm and did not seem aggressive. The key question was, how did no one notice a double shooting in a small space? The answer was in the movie. The Forever Purge has very loud sound effects, sirens, and gunfire. The shooter timed his attack to match a loud scene, using the noise as a cover. The police first thought all 4 men might be involved, but that seemed unlikely. They decided the shooting was done by one person. The other 3 either did not know what happened or were too scared to talk. They had left the theater before the movie ended. The lab confirmed the bullets were from a 9mm handgun. This helped narrow the search. The police asked the public for help to find the group of 4 men, but by the end of the week, the investigation was stuck. There were no good leads. The shooter knew how to not leave any traces. No fingerprints, no witnesses, no gun. It was a very frustrating case for the police. A big break came 3 days after the crime. An anonymous person called the police tip line. He said he knew someone who acted very strangely on the night of the shooting. This person matched the description of one of the men at the theater. The name he gave was Joseph Jimenez, a 20-year-old man from a nearby town. The police checked this name. They found he owned a car that was seen in the theater parking lot that night. This was enough for a search warrant. Police went to a small trailer home where Jimenez lived. They found him inside. Officers said he seemed confused, and his speech did not make sense. During the search, they found a 9mm handgun. They also found Riley Goodrich's wallet with her ID and bank cards inside. This was the first solid evidence linking Jimenez to the crime. The gun was tested. The test confirmed it was the weapon used in the movie theater shooting. That same day, Joseph Jimenez was arrested. During questioning, Jimenez's story kept changing. He denied doing it. He said he just found the gun, but he could not explain why he had Riley's wallet. Jimenez acted strangely, sometimes calm, sometimes withdrawn. He would stop talking or repeat random words. A background check showed Jimenez had no criminal record. He lived alone and only worked part-time jobs. Neighbors told police that before his arrest, Jimenez had been yelling at night as if talking to someone who wasn't there. This information would later become very important. For the police, this was a major turning point. A single tip had led them to the main suspect. After the arrest, detectives found the 3 friends who were with Jimenez at the theater. Their stories helped explain what happened that night. The friends said Jimenez was acting weird even before the movie. He was mumbling to himself and seemed agitated. At the ticket counter, he was quiet, then suddenly laughed nervously. Inside the theater, his behavior got worse. He was whispering, flinching, and looking around anxiously. About 30 minutes into the movie, Jimenez got up and said he was going to the bathroom. When he came back, he was holding a box. A friend asked what it was. Jimenez replied, "It's a weapon." His friends thought he was joking, but they got scared. They decided to leave the theater without telling anyone. Later, they told the police they did not know what he was planning to do. They said he often acted strange, but was never violent before. The police found no connection between Jimenez and the victims. They had never met or spoken. It seemed to be a random attack by someone with serious mental problems. In another interview, Jimenez finally admitted to the shooting, but he said he did it in self-defense because he was hearing voices. He said a voice named Abigail told him that people from the neighborhood wanted to hurt him. He said he had been diagnosed with schizophrenia and was seeing a doctor, but he had stopped taking his medicine a few days before. Without the medicine, the voices got louder. Abigail told him to attack, saying it would save his life. On the day of the crime, he felt very threatened. The violent scenes in the movie made him believe they were signs for him. He went to his car, got a 9mm handgun he had bought for protection, and went back into the theater. He said the voices told him what to do next. This created a big legal question. Was Jimenez truly mentally ill, or was he using it as an excuse? Meanwhile, Anthony Barajas was in the hospital in critical condition. He had a severe head injury. Despite many surgeries, he never woke up. He was on machines that kept him alive. His family and friends waited and hoped. Thousands of people online used the hashtag #PrayForAnthony. But on July 31st, 2021, the doctors said his brain had stopped working. He was brain dead. His parents made the difficult decision to turn off the life support machines. Anthony was pronounced dead later that day. Anthony was an organ donor, and his organs saved several other people's lives. A memorial service was held for both Anthony and Riley. Hundreds of people came: family, friends, classmates, and online followers. For Riley's parents, it was like losing their daughter all over again, as both families grieved together. Anthony's death changed the case to a double murder. The trial began in February 2024. The prosecutors said it was a planned murder. The defense lawyers said Jimenez was legally insane because of his schizophrenia. The prosecutors pointed out that Jimenez stole Riley's wallet, which showed he knew what he was doing. A key witness was Carlos Gonzalez, a friend who was with Jimenez that night. He described Jimenez's strange behavior and how he left and came back with a weapon. Mental health experts gave different opinions. One expert said Jimenez had schizophrenia but still knew his actions were wrong. Another expert said he could tell right from wrong. After weeks in court, the jury decided. They found Joseph Jimenez guilty of 2 counts of first-degree murder and theft. He was sentenced to life in prison with no chance of parole. The families of Riley and Anthony were in the courtroom for the verdict. The legal process was over, but the emotional pain of what happened will always remain. Thanks for watching, guys. If you enjoyed this video, please like and share it. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and press the bell icon so you can be the first to hear about such real-life stories.